We do have Peter McGuire, CEO AustraliaTrading.com, joining us on the show. Peter, a very good morning to you. It's quite the morning for us. It's quite the announcement. You do have Trump, turning up the heat when it comes to Iran. I quickly want to try and understand what's your first take when it comes to this announcement.
Well, good morning, Shara. I think it's hit everyone by a bit of surprise. It just shows you President Trump's intent and what he's trying to create. And that in turn is putting pressure naturally on every trading partner of Iran. And what that's going to look like from not only geopolitics, but from an energy perspective. China is really in the positioning here. It's going to be much concern naturally for China. Yes, a little bit certainly for India and the likes of Turkey and UAE as well. So how it unpacks, and it's going to be, I think, President Trump on the warpath. And let's just see how this all materializes over the next week or so.
Well, absolutely, Peter. And there's a lot of moving pieces to this entire story. And that's something that I wanted to explore with you because, you do have the new tariffs also threatening to reignite that trade war with China as well, because you do have Beijing, the world's top crude importer as well, of 90% when it comes to Iran as well. So you do have that entire China story also playing out. What is your analysis of that as well?
Well, don't take your eye either off, Shara, as far as Venezuela and their crude exports naturally to China. So this is a double-pronged attack on China. And it's going to be, again, it is very much, there's brinkmanship on every corner here. You've got rare earths coming into the positioning as far as China and their control over, a great percentage of the world's rare earths and production of them. And then you've got the energy situation by China. And as everyone knows, if you limit someone's energy, then that greatly impacts their domestic economy. And then the other part, of course, is going to be the other geopolitics that stems from this. It's very difficult to get your mind around all of the complexities because there are so many, as you correctly said, moving parts to this, and how this is going to be, again, observed and either some form of retaliation from these nations. So it's very, very difficult to see the overall big picture in the short term.
Well, absolutely, and Peter, when I quickly take a look at oil prices for the benefit of our viewers as well, you're seeing oil prices also jump. You're looking at that level, that's highest level coming in since early December as well. And there's that possibility that we've also explored in terms of the disruption, the double whammy coming in, if you will, as far as China is also concerned. But Peter, I also wanted to quickly try and understand, what is the sense that you're getting for oil prices from here on? What's the outlook that you also have for maybe the next month? Of course, beyond that, maybe with the kind of geopolitical situation that we have at hand, it's not quite possible to chart out. But for the next month, what is the outlook that you have in mind?
Well, I think going back at the start of the year before the Venezuela situation and Iran wasn't on the table, Shara, then we would have naturally expected crude prices to continue softness to the downside over that first quarter. But now with these geopolitical concerns and shocks, that puts a different perspective as far as supply naturally from tariff and you've got geopolitical and a war premium. So if this was to turn any form of kinetic as far as warfare, then that changes the whole footprint, and markets can move up and move up very aggressively in a very short period of time. I'm talking hours. And also we need to focus on, from a choke point perspective, the Strait of Hormuz and the amount of crude that sails through that strait each day is over 30% of global crude. So we really need to take that on board and be considerate of it, that this could really disrupt global energy in a very, very quick fashion. So let's say it goes up a couple of dollars from here. I wouldn't be surprised. And again, very hard to forecast because of the volatility across that whole sector.
Well, absolutely, and Peter, if you tried to write the script maybe a year ago when it comes to some of these prices, you would actually be laughing at some of them, which brings me to my last question, actually, Peter, because, you're taking a look at gold and silver also continuing that momentum. And that was a little bit of a concern last year because you did have that record year coming in for both gold and silver. We've seen them maintain that momentum thus far. You do have a bunch of updates coming in. There's a lot of safe haven demand right now with that geopolitical uncertainty. So all of that combined, what is the outlook that you have for gold and silver also?
Well, I mean, the blast off this month has been extraordinary. The first couple of days was very quiet, Shara, as far as precious metal prices. But, over the last week, it's shaken all the cobwebs away, and we had an all-time high on silver yesterday, all-time high for gold. Gold sitting at just on 4,600. I've got a 47.45 handle that I'm thinking is achievable by month's end, 4,740, 4,750. And I said probably silver will be between $92 and $95 by end of month. So let's just see. We've got 18 days to go, and I think it'll hit those sort of numbers. So longer term, 5,200 for gold, and certainly that $100 to $120 price point for silver, maybe by end of first to middle of second quarter.
Absolutely, and the longer term story does look to be intact with all of this safe haven demand coming in. It's going to be, at least the next couple of weeks are going to be quite strong as far as gold and silver are concerned. But thank you so much, Peter, for taking time out and joining us this morning.